Time and time again, we see developers either being forced to censor their games or choosing to censor their games. This industry is filled with companies who are too afraid of losing consumers to have a backbone, too afraid of not making money, and simply they just don't want to piss off investors with their choices. And it's always so damn good to see developers not bowing down to outrage culture, because we know the internet can be a pretty positive place, but at the same time, it can also be filled with a lot of negativity and a lot of people who get mad over little tiny things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Now, I've talked about Top Hat Studios before. They develop, port, and publish tons of indie games and visual novels, and the people behind it are just really fantastic, genuine people. I've talked to them before, and I fully support everything that they do. They are the type of company that I want to see more of in the industry. And there's been quite a few outraged people on social media who are mad at an upcoming game named Sense, a Cyberpunk ghost story that Top Hat is actually publishing. There are people who are trying to get it canceled, and Top Hat is doing something very simple that a ton of other developers and publishers wouldn't do. They are saying, we refuse to give in to outrage on the internet, and we will not censor this game no matter how much you want us to. And it is something that is very simple that not enough companies do these days. So Top Hat Studios categorically refuses to censor Sense, a cyberpunk ghost story, after false information spread and even death threats. Now, this is a game I've actually had my eye on for quite some time. This was a game, once it released on the Nintendo Switch, that I had planned to get. I already have it pre-ordered, and this was a game I've actually had my eye on for quite some time. So Top Hat Studios state that they categorically refuse to censor Sense, a cyberpunk ghost story, after the spread of false information about the game and even death threats have been sent to the developer. A recent gaming news outlet reported on the game's upcoming Nintendo Switch release date, and comments both on that website and Twitter had some users object to the game's rather busty main character, Mei Lin Mac. Now, as you can see, just by this single promotion art from the game, the characters are very busty and they are very sexy. I really don't think that that's a problem in a game. First of all, we're talking about fictional characters, but we're also talking about a game that's aimed towards adults. I don't think that it's disrespectful towards women at all for you to have female characters in a video game that are busty. I know that there are definitely some Twitter Puritans who would disagree with me on that, but it says, as we note in our review, the game's dystopian cyberpunk setting features themes of heavy body modification. The world features strippers, hypersexualized adverts, body enhancements, many things along that nature, and some of the female characters are over-sexualized. This further emphasizes the world's dystopian setting as morals have been deteriorated, while also providing a little bit of fan service. Our review notes that Maylin's boob physics means that her breasts do not stop bouncing up and down as if they're balls of jelly strapped to her chest. For some reason, this may be distracting, while a selling point for others. It says players can also unlock alluring outfits for solving puzzles in unique ways, much like older Japanese horror games. This game's had a lot of selling points for me. This game has seemed very interesting since the beginning. I know that for an indie game, there's actually been quite a lot of media attention surrounding this, and it was a game that I was interested in, and I know a lot of other people were very excited about it. But then you have those people on social media who complain literally about everything, who want everyone's enjoyment taken out of this world, that are like, hey, let's see if we can get this game canceled because of boobs. So some have seemingly objected to this, with reported claims of them calling the game pornographic and even bizarre claims that its content is illegal and encourages violence. The game features several gory scenes and gruesome deaths for Maylin, and suffice to say these are not portrayed as something desirable or praiseworthy. And finally, publisher Top Hat Studios issued a statement on Twitter, and along with stating some had threatened to review bomb the game. Top Hat Studios stated there have been many threats sent to harass the distributors and even death threats. So here's their official statement. It's a statement regarding censorship demands of Sense a Cyberpunk Ghost Story. With the recent news of Sense a Cyberpunk Ghost Story coming to Nintendo Switch, we are aware of a large amount of messages and demands aimed towards the game's console platform release based on lies, claims that it is explicitly pornographic or somehow encourages violence, or most ridiculously, somehow breaks the law. Furthermore, voices have attempted to advocate making sale of the game untenable through demanding harsh censorship aimed towards the developer's art style, with threats to review bomb the game and or harass its distributors. In addition, we have received death threats from those who feel threatened by what essentially boils down to an aesthetic decision of how pixels are arranged on a screen. While disappointed at these behaviors, we are certainly not surprised. Let us be clear on this. We will not censor the game because of self-centered crowds who care solely about grandstanding. We categorically and absolutely refuse to restrict creative expression. Creators should be allowed freedom to express themselves, particularly when it is an expression, of the subcultures they have been immersed in. As a cyberpunk game, Sense uses imagery and themes relating to a future of hyper-commercialized, over-commodified imagery as part of its cyberpunk theme and inspiration. This is reflected in all character designs, and with that said, we expect that this is lost on those attacking the developer for being harmful and somehow inflicting violence and pain. Those who believe words or images inflict violence should perhaps stop spurting their own hateful, false rhetoric, and also cease condoning death threats to those they disagree with. This is one of the best statements I've seen from a developer or publisher ever. We reject any and all of the aforementioned brazen characterizations of the game and would like to reiterate our principles against tampering with creators' expressions. We would also like to reiterate that this game is rated ESRBM 17 and up / PEGI 18. This is not an adult-only game, nor have any laws been broken, as some social media commenters have ridiculously claimed out of their bias. The game's rating reflects the target audience, and yet this fact is lost on those who have been led by a will to blindly crusade against their false perceptions. Once again, Sense a Cyberpunk Ghost Story is rated 17+ / PEGI 18, and the game will release as planned and without censorship on the 7th of January on Nintendo Switch. The game will not be censored. We categorically refuse. And you can tell just by this statement, it's not like they're putting out a statement either that's kind of like, yeah, you know, we wouldn't do that. They're saying things like most ridiculously somehow breaks the law, and we categorically refuse to censor this game. You can tell their intentions are genuine just by their wording, and it is so refreshing to see from a company. It is so damn lame that people go on the internet and get so mad that they want something canceled, proving how little they respect artists' creative freedoms. They pick up a keyboard and go, oh, this triggers me, let me throw on my Karen cap and write them a tweet telling them how dog shit they are. How dare they make an attractive female in a game, and even I'm gonna send them death threats because that'll make them respect my opinion. Like, yikes! People need to grow the hell up. It is absolutely disgusting that people are saying this game promotes violence and promotes all these awful things, yet they themselves are sending developers death threats because they don't like how a character looks in a video game. It just shows how hypocritical these people are. I don't understand why so many companies want to cater to these types of people who are going to complain about a video game yet not actually spend their own money on that video game, even if it was censored. I have mad respect for Top Hat for this statement, especially when other companies are just too afraid to defend their stances and business decisions. I already have a copy of the game pre-ordered, and I will be playing it when it releases for sure. I am always down to support good developers and publishers, and props to them for making this statement saying that they categorically refuse to censor this title. But let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like and share it, and if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.